I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This episode is a little bit late, but yesterday, something historic happened. Something that will change my life and many of ours forever. For the first time in the United States, we have elected a vice president that is a woman. And this means so much to not only myself, but little girls and women around the country. Women that not only wear a hat, but wear many hats. This is historic for us. And I wear this shirt proudly, that the future is female. And I'm excited to be a part of that. And I am very honored to have the opportunity to be able to do something that I truly love in talking football with Crombie. Let's get into the episode. We're really going to focus in on the top games to watch this week and then my picks for the rest of the week. But there is one thing that I want to dive into, and that's Drew Brees versus Tom Brady and how they match up head to head. The reason why this matchup is such a big deal is because both of these guys lead in passing touchdown over the entire NFL. That's active and inactive players. That's more than Peyton Manning. It's more than Brett Favre. It's more than Dan Marino. These two guys. Right now, Tom Brady leads by one touchdown. He has 561. Drew Brees has 560. Now, what's really interesting about this matchup is that over his career, Tom Brady has never lost twice to a division opponent. And we know that the Saints beat them the first go around down in New Orleans. And this time, the matchup is in Tampa Bay. But in the career head-to-head matchup, Drew Brees leads. He's got 4 wins to Tom Brady's 2. Overall, he's had a better touchdown to interception ratio with 14-1 compared to Tom Brady's 9 TDs and 8 interceptions. Yikes. But this is a tough game for me. I never pick against Tom Brady. Well, I had before, and it didn't work out. And that's why I said I'm never going to pick against Tom Brady again. So this brings me to top games to watch this week. Drew Brees is getting Michael Thomas back. He's getting back Emmanuel Sanders. That's huge for a team that's been winning without 2, I would say, all-star, wide receivers. And then Tom Brady on the other end, he's potentially getting Godwin back. He's got Gronk, Mike Evans, and then Antonio Brown is back in the mix. It will be very interesting to see how Bruce Arians and Sean Payton go up head-to-head. And I really think it's going to be a good matchup. Listen, when you look at these quarterbacks in 2020, Tom Brady clearly has the advantage with 20 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. But Drew Brees has been short-handed, and while he's had Alvin Kamara, he hasn't had a Michael Thomas, and Emmanuel Sanders has been out for weeks. I really think this game is going to be close. It's going to be one that I think it comes down to the last seconds. Drew Brees is a fighter, and so is Tom Brady. But I'm going with Drew Brees and the Saints. I think they go down to Tampa Bay. They find a way to get a win. All right, so another great game to watch this week is the Seattle Seahawks at the Buffalo Bills. Now, what's interesting about both of these teams is Seattle probably has one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL, and actually they do, through 8 weeks, giving up almost 1,900 yards. Yet, this team is still 6-2. Now, if you're the Bills, you're really wishing you had Josh Allen of the first 4 weeks of the season. He was on fire. 12 touchdowns to 1 interception. But the last 4 games, he has 4 TDs and 4 interceptions. That's something to be concerned about. But he has been without wide receiver John Brown for a couple of games. But I don't think that that's what the difference maker is here. What we do know about Seattle is that they picked up Carlos Dunlap from the Cincinnati Bengals. They also are getting Jamal Adams on the back end of their defense back. And this team really believes that they are Super Bowl bound. The NFC West is stacked, so Seattle has to win. But Buffalo, they also have to win. The AFC has some really great teams, and if the Buffalo Bills don't want to be in a wild card spot, they have to win this game, and they're at home. But I'm taking the Seahawks here. I just can't imagine that the Buffalo Bills will be able to generate more offense than Russell Wilson, who is currently leading the league in touchdowns. And it's not even close. It's Russell Wilson. I can't take Josh Allen over Russell Wilson. At the beginning of the season, like I said, Josh Allen, the first 4 games, we were talking about him for an MVP. And now I think we're seeing the same old Josh Allen again. Go his Seahawks. Another game that you should be watching this week is the Chicago Bears at the Tennessee Titans. This is another one of those matchups where both teams need to win to be able to stay in the playoff race to get to the top of their divisions. Right now, Tennessee is coming off, I would say, one of the toughest losses, losing to the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bears, they lost in overtime against the Saints that didn't have Michael Thomas, that didn't have Emmanuel Sanders. So what do these teams do? Well, when you think about the Chicago Bears, they're right now averaging a little over 20 points a game. But they're the only team with a winning record that isn't in the top 10 of scoring. And they have a negative 5-point differential. I think Bears fans might be thinking about Mitch Trubisky right now. But then there's the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry, he's had a couple breakout games this season. Now, what's interesting about the Titans is that 5 of 7 games that they played have been one possession. And I find it a little intriguing that both the Bears and the Titans are teams that could potentially have losing records if things have not split their way up until this point in the season. So who am I taking here? I'm taking the Tennessee Titans, and I believe it's going to be because of Derrick Henry. Right now, the Bears, they're not giving up a ton of rush yards. I think the only time they gave up a 100-yard rusher this year was in Week 5 against Ronald Jones. Derrick Henry is better than Ronald Jones, and since 2018, he has the most rush yards and the most touchdowns from November to December. Derrick Henry is coming, and I'm going with the Titans here. Let's go Titans. It wouldn't be a must-watch game if the Baltimore Ravens wasn't in it, right? So another one of the games that I'm looking at watching this week is the old Baltimore versus the new Baltimore. Yeah, that's right. The Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis and became the Indianapolis Colts, and later there would then be a Baltimore Ravens. Now let's talk about these two teams. Lamar Jackson played terrible against the Pittsburgh Steelers, ultimately having 4 turnovers last week. Colts, they come in with one of the best defenses in the NFL, but they haven't really been challenged by anybody. And the Ravens, they're reeling. And losing Ronnie Staley, their starting left tackle, and then also Marlon Humphrey out to COVID, makes this game very interesting. I believe that we also know that T.Y. Hilton for the Colts will be out. So best wide receiver for the Colts out, best cornerback for the Ravens out, 2 really good defenses. How does this play out? Something to note is that the Ravens have never beat the Colts in Indianapolis. And if there's anything that we know about 2020, never say never. So that's why I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. It's going to come down to defense. It really will. But I think that the Ravens find a way to overcome the huge injury to the O-line, to overcome the issues with COVID on the defense, and they win this game because Phillip Rivers, he's throwing a pick six to Marcus Peters. That's for sure. Go Ravens. 1v1, Kyler Murray versus Tua. This is going to be a game that a lot of people might sleep on, but to these quarterbacks, it's been competitive since college. Now, the teams coming into this matchup, the Dolphins, they've won their last 3 games. The Cardinals, they've won their last 3 games. But Dolphins come in with the better defense. But the Cardinals, they come in with the better offense. And this game, it's in Arizona. And if there's a quarterback that I trust right now, it's Kyler Murray. He's been able to get it done in the air, but also with his feet. He's leading quarterbacks in most rush yards per game. And then he has one of the best wide receivers in all of football, and that's DeAndre Hopkins, who's currently, he has 30% of the Cardinals' targets. That leads all NFL for wide receivers. He is their offense. Of course, with Kyler too. But Tua, he got his first start last week, and I did call this. I said Miami would beat the Rams, and his defense, his special teams, they showed up and showed out for their rookie. But initially, I think a lot of people at the beginning of the season, they said, you know, Miami, they're tanking. But right now, they have a winning record, and they could possibly be at the top of their division. Wow. We haven't said that in a long time, right? But I think the time is now. But it's not this week. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going with D-Hop. I'm going with Cliff Kingsbury in them. I'm going with all of them. I got Cardinals in this one. So let's hit the rapid fire through the rest of the week. So we got the Giants versus the Washington football team. I'm going with the Washington football team. I think they have the better defense. I will say I think the Giants have played really scrappy this year, but Daniel Jones, he fumbles the ball too much. I can't take it. I think that that D-line of Washington's going to get after him, and he's going to fumble the ball, or he's going to throw a pick, one or two. Something's going to happen. I'm going with Washington. Detroit versus Minnesota. Minnesota started this year off terribly, and I picked them for a ton of games that they ended up losing. But if there's any type of game that you can get right on, it's Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions. I picked the Lions to win last week, and they completely fumbled the bag. I'm not picking the Lions again. I just can't do it right now. I don't like what they're doing on the field. I just don't like it. I'm going with the Vikings. Mike Zimmer, he's not happy about his quarterback and Kirk Cousins, but I think they find a way to get a win at home. Panthers versus Chiefs. I'm not going to take a lot of time here. Teddy Bridgewater has been great this year. He deserves an award for comeback player of the year. All of those things. Christian McCaffrey's coming back. I'm not sure if he's playing this week. I'm pretty sure he will. He will be a footnote to what's going on with the Chiefs. Chiefs they look like one of the best teams in the NFL on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Patrick Mahomes has been playing lights out. I think that continues at home. I got Chiefs. Texans versus Jacksonville Jaguars. It is a battle of the bottom of the AFC South, baby. And I'm going with the Houston Texans. They're coming off a bye week. Deshaun Watson has been great. I don't think that he gets enough credit. He literally has no help. He has no help. He has no help. But he has had a 100+ passer rating over the past 5 games. Will Fuller has had a touchdown in the past 5 games. I think that's why the Texans were not willing to send Fuller to Green Bay, because there was talks about that trade. And I think Deshaun Watson had to say, I need this guy. This guy helps me out on the field. Jaguars, they have their Minshew's not playing. Little Littleton. They got somebody starting, and I'm not going with that guy. I'm going with Deshaun Watson, the baller. Yeah, give me Houston Texans here. On the road in Jacksonville. That's right. Denver Broncos versus Atlanta Falcons. This game is a head scratcher for many reasons. Atlanta has been up and down all season. We've seen them put up a ton of points. We've seen them not put up a ton of points. But what we've seen overall is inconsistency. And if there was a team that mirrored that, it's the Broncos. They won a nail-biting game last week, literally with no seconds left on the clock, getting the touchdown. So shout out to Drew Lock. I like the kid's swag, but I don't think that you're going into Atlanta right now and doing any of that stuff that you did in Denver last week, Drew. So I'm going with Matty, and I'm calling him Matty Ice this week. I think he ices this game and shows the young buck and Drew Lock what's up with ATL. Go Falcons. Rise up. And the Raiders versus the Chargers. I have picked the Chargers too many times for them to lose as much as they do. And since last season, the Chargers are 3-14 in games decided by 8 or fewer points. And I cannot pick them. I like the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert. I think he's awesome. But honestly, in my opinion, Derek Carr has played better. Statistics have shown that he's had a higher completion rate, higher passer rating, all that. So I'm going with the Raiders, and I really don't even like this pick. I want to pick the Chargers. I really do. But I'm going with the Raiders here. That's what it is. Black Hole, what's up? Pittsburgh Steelers versus Dallas Cowboys. Have you seen what the Cowboys are putting on the field? Not who. I said what. It's a travesty. The Steelers are they're 7-0. They go to 8-0 this week. And I think it's going to be ugly. I think the Cowboys defense has played better though. I will say that they played better, but the bar is so low because the Eagles, Carson Wentz, he's played night and day. He fumbles the ball more than any other quarterback not named Daniel Jones. It has to be. So, I don't know. Bar's low. New England versus the Jets. I don't want to pick either one of these teams, but I can tell you I'm not picking the team that has 0 wins. That's 0 wins on the season at 0-8 in the Jets. And I'm not picking Adam Gase. This pick is for Bill Belichick. I'm not picking New England. I'm picking Bill Belichick. Go Patriots. And then, of course, Green Bay beat San Francisco pretty bad on Thursday Night Football with a score of 34-17. These are my picks.
Silly talk, you know I'm on walk, yeah, I got a mask and the main attraction, yeah, I run it up like Lamar Jackson, yeah. You think I'm a lame, I don't say much, but I'm hanging out the window, I'ma spray much, yeah. Niggas wanna go to war with a battle, oh Lord, I'ma have to.